Disclaimer, I do not own anything I show you, or am I an expert on the things that I'm talking about.
Hello, Marco again. And in this month's video, I am going to talk about a specific topic that can go wrong quite easily, in my personal opinion, but can be quite amazing if done well. Gender bending. You know, turning a male character into a female one and vice versa. And I know what many of you are thinking when I say gender bending. Making a male character female and giving them huge boobs. And yes, doing this is quite distasteful, especially with underage characters. But in this video I am not going to talk about the fan art aspect of gender bending, but instead about the fanfic part of it, using some personal advice I have for when you are gender bending the characters of a popular franchise. My first tip is, don't make the same story as the original with no changes except of the gender of the characters. This is because only changing the story minimally or not changing anything at all is barely writing fanfiction. If you were to do this, you would get the same type of enjoyment out of watching the original show, playing the original game, or reading the original book. So there is nothing really beneficial about it. If you are gender bending the characters of the story, there is no problem with changing and adding some stuff here and there about the story of the franchise. The gender that a character is becomes a huge part of who they are and how they act. This includes the fact that there are some major biological and psychological differences with real-life humans based on their gender, so why not think that way when you change some fictional character's gender? An example of this is a Loud House fanfic called One Girl with 10 Brothers by this fanfic writer. The first part of the first chapter of this story is exactly the same as the episode Heavy Metal, with here and there some minor changes because of gender. But the most notable difference between the show and the fanfic is the reaction of the siblings with the news that Lincoln, or Linka as in fanfic, is bullied. In the show, the girls are as completely ecstatic and happy with the news that Lincoln now has a girlfriend. However, in the fanfic, the boys go completely ape and even go as far as to threaten to murder the boy. And the writer tells the reader that he is going to deviate, and even explains to the reader why he decided to make the change in his own words. What kind of brother? Any kind of brother. Would be ecstatic over this kind of news. Another tip is that not all characters have to go through a gender bend. Just one character can still make an interesting change. A good example of this is the Star vs the Force of Evil fanfic, Star and Marcia vs the Force of Evil by this fanfic writer. In this fanfic, Marco is the only character that goes through a gender bend and is renamed Marcia. An original name in my opinion, but that shall be my next point. They also don't only change the story a little bit because of her gender, but include new plot points and remove other ones because there is no lesbian relationship with Star and Marcia. I am actually happy about that, not that I have anything against homosexual relationships, but due to my personal opinion that romance fanfictions can be very bad sometimes and go in the wrong direction, especially gay fanfictions, I don't like them very much. My final tip is about how to rename a gender bend character, because another common stereotype of gender bending is the horrible renaming of the characters going through the gender bending process. For example, Sonic the Hedgehog, some people are naming Sonica, but Sonic is a fine name for a character even if you gender bend it. And if you still find that weird, make it a nickname in the story, and like making his real name Nicky or something. What I'm trying to say here is, when you gender bend a character, you shouldn't just take the original name and make it sound more manly or girly. Instead, just think of a real name that sounds like the original, but for the opposite gender, or search on the internet for some real name you feel is befitting. But you don't have to feel ashamed of yourself when you badly rename your gender bend characters, because the real franchise owners can also do this badly. Nintendo made a character for Hyrule Warriors and named it Linkle. Man, I read fanfictions where they had better gender bend names for Link. In conclusion, these were my tips for how to gender bend the characters in your fanfics. I hope they can help you out for the fanfic you are writing, and if you are making gender-bent fan art, don't give them huge boobs, especially when they are underage characters. That is just disgusting. I hope you like this video, and please like and subscribe and share this video on social media.